In the history of America, few men have had a greater impact on the religious landscape than Imam W. Deen Muhammad. For nearly 35 years, he was the religious leader for millions of Muslims in America. Through his keen and unique insight, he helped to guide hundreds of thousands of Americans to the religion of Al-Islam. Under the leadership of Imam Muhammad, American Muslims established mosques, schools, and communities in every major city in America, creating a respect and acceptance for Islam in the United States never before known. W. Deen Muhammad's clear understanding of the broader universal concepts of Islam had him well prepared to lead a transformation from a race-based organization to a religious one. They began to advocate Islam as a way of life and found other Islamic communities waiting to embrace them. Known for years as a closed society, the doors were now open to people from every God-conscious walk of life.
We were not doing this 5 years ago.
Celebrities like Isabel Sanford and Roger Mosley, as well as political figures like Angela Davis, all came to support America's new Islamic movement. Genuine dialogue was finally established with the Christian and Jewish communities.
I was here as the president of the American Jewish Congress, and I think it was very important for there to be Jewish representation in something like this.
Today, I thought was a very meaningful talk on bringing people together of all races, all religions, all creeds. It was a moving hour. And I couldn't help but think this morning that when I went to church, I belong to the Inglewood Church of Christ, and the preacher said today that every man is my brother. Then I came down this afternoon to the sports arena and virtually heard the same talk, that love is the most moving force that there is.
I'm looking in the future with a new mind. And I know that America needs leadership. And I'm going to make my contribution. And I believe that there are people who have enough sense left in them to see the promising direction that we are giving or offering in the community.
The community continued to develop its earnest devotion to the religion of Al-Islam. They began an unprecedented propagation of Islam in America, and their national newspaper was their single largest tool. Formerly called Mohammed Speaks, it evolved through the community's transition into the country's largest Islamic newspaper. As the landscape of America continued to evolve, so did the relationship between indigenous Muslims and Islamic countries. Members of the royal Saudi Arabian family, including Prince Abdullah and Prince Mohammed, announced their first business venture with American Muslims. Support for the growth of Islam in America came from around the world. Kings, scholars, and many international diplomats came to see what they could do to assist. The Saudi Arabian government sent religious spokespersons and shipped large amounts of Qur'ans to educate indigenous Muslims on the tenets of the religion. In August of 1990, the United States of America returned to war with an Islamic country for the first time in nearly 200 years. The Gulf War, which lasted less than a year, presented the first opportunity for Muslims in America to demonstrate their value to the country. Imam Muhammad and a special delegation went to Saudi Arabia, where he met with high officials in the royal family and was asked to be a spokesman during the Gulf War, addressing the presence of U.S. troops so close to the holiest place of Islam, the Kaaba. Upon Imam Muhammad's return to America, his status as the leader of Muslims in America was firmly cemented as he was invited to speak before the United States Senate and other legislative bodies.
Bless the efforts of the President and all other efforts in progress for more jobs and opportunity, more opportunity to be in this great society for more of us. Bless matrimony and families here and all around the world. Increase for the President of the United States, for every member of the Senate, and for every member of the House of Representatives, the excellence of man's spirit and the excellence of the intellect of the statesman, so that they may build a better America for us all. Amen.
Amen. This is a great day for the United States Senate and for our country to have Imam Wallace Muhammad here with us today, the first Muslim to pray in the United States Senate. We couldn't have made a better choice. There isn't a better man in America or a better religious leader who is trying to do what's right for his people.
In the 1990s, Islamist conflicts erupted around the world. A series of terrorist attacks were launched against Africa, France, and the U.S. In the eyes of many, the root cause of this turmoil was the occupation of Palestine by the Israeli army. Palestinian President Yasser Arafat reached out to Muslims in America for help in resolving the conflict, which had cost thousands of lives. Imam W. Muhammad led a group of diplomats who received a warm reception everywhere they went. The accounts were published and televised to an amazed American audience.
Dozens of news people, U.S. networks, and Palestinian, Israeli, European television, radio, and print media packed the large interview room.
Quite regretful, it was disturbing that the peace process has to be stopped. Because right now I don't think there's any progress for the peace talks. So this is what disturbs the White House, the State Department, for us in the U.S.
Everywhere he went in Jerusalem after his talk in Masjid al-Aqsa, people were stopping him, shaking his hand, embracing him, and kissing him. They kept saying, "Help us, Imam. Let the world know what is happening here."
Relations between the Islamic world and Muslims in America reached its peak of interaction during the decade of the 90s. Not only were leaders and scholars visiting America in record numbers, Muslim American leaders were also being requested more than ever abroad. The Islamic country of Malaysia invited American Muslims to visit and discuss ways to improve their business relationship. A special delegation visited their nation's industries to explore business opportunities between the two. Never in the history of America had a new religious movement grew so quickly. With America being a predominantly Christian nation, it was very important for American Muslims to maintain strong interfaith relationships, and maintain them they did. In fact, it became commonplace to see members of the Christian and Jewish communities at many of their conventions, not only as attendants, but as participants.
I have been given the gift of vision, and I see into the future that this group gathered here together today is going to increase in power and influence to bring peace and prosperity to America and to the world. And I count it a great, great honor that you would invite me to share in this your happy celebration.
The interfaith efforts of American Muslims did not go unnoticed. Imam W. Muhammad was appointed president of the World Conference on Religion and Peace. During his tenure, he would make an unprecedented trip to Israel and meet with the world's top religious leaders. Later, he would also take a historic journey to the Vatican. No other American Muslim had ever set foot in this legendary city. Imam Mohammed would lead an entire Muslim delegation there and culminate the trip by meeting with Pope John Paul II.
As I approached him, I saw the great warmth in his face.
Ho visto il calore nella sua faccia.
Yes, and I went with such a light burden.
E sono andato leggero.
I said to him,
ho detto a lui,
Chiara and I have a beautiful working relationship with each other.
Io e Chiara abbiamo una bellissima collaborazione di lavoro insieme.
Joining each other so we can have a better world.
E lavoriamo insieme in maniera di fare un mondo più bene, più buono.
For all.
Per tutti.
I said, so I asked His Holiness
Sua Santità
to bless our efforts.
Benedire i nostri sforzi.
He said he would. He said yes.
Sì.
The long journey for the growth and establishment of Islam in America is one for the ages. Never has a story been filled with more mystery, intrigue, struggle, and sacrifice than that of the many Muslim pioneers who have shared this incredible vision. The same vision King Abu Bakr II had when he abdicated his throne in Mali to bring his Quran to America in the 14th century. The vision of African slaves who maintain their Islamic belief through threat of torture and death so that it may pass on to future generations. The vision of Noble Drew Ali, who began to rekindle the Islamic spirit of those African Americans through the Moorish Science Temple, along with Marcus Garvey, Dusi Muhammad Ali, and the Ahmadiyas. The incredible vision of those early Lebanese immigrants who built the first American mosque and had the courage to develop true Islamic communities in early 20th century America. And of course, the Nation of Islam, who told America that Allah was God and began a new movement that would forever change the country's religious landscape. However, history will likely record the single most important factor for the growth of Islam in America was the visionary leadership of Imam W. Muhammad, who introduced millions of Americans to mainstream Islam.
And I know there are others that feel as I do. We trust God. We are going forward with God, with the Quran and Muhammad, and we don't fear the criticism of any criticizer.